Hi everyone and welcome to our channel. I wanted to make a video today on the new refugee protection portal. So a little while back, IRCC made some changes to the way that they accept refugee claims. Before, you had to file your application in person at an office, at an IRCC office. And then during the pandemic, it changed to applying by email and by e-post, and that was kind of brief. And now it looks like the new system, which is probably hopefully here to stay, is the refugee protection portal. So it's an online platform where you have to create with your email and username an account, and you answer questions and upload documentation. Now we've done this at our office a couple of times now. It's pretty straightforward now, I would say. I think there was a lot of questions in the beginning because some of the questions were not clear and we weren't sure where the application was actually going. Is it going to CBSA? Is it going to our IRCC? Is it going to the RPD, the Refugee Protection Division? Because that's the division that will make the ultimate decision, the Refugee Protection Division at the Immigration and Refugee Board. So we did it a couple of times. And what we noticed is that once we complete if the client comes to us from the beginning and we complete everything online, then we start getting some emails with certain documents, and we get some notifications sometimes to submit an additional document or some corrections if necessary. And also we get notifications for the clients to go in for they call it an interview or an appointment, and they submit. Usually it's a two-step process, and in the second stage they submit their original passports, and they also receive copies of documentations, which is pretty standard, such as the report and seizure notice of seizure of passport and things like that. The part where it gets a little bit confusing these days is when, and I don't know if in the future they're going to plan to change this, but a couple of times we had clients come to us and they already uploaded everything and they're in the process, they're in the system and it's processing. And that's kind of difficult for us because we have to, in order to access, we have to ask the client for their email and password, which is not the best thing to do because, often people, they're using the same password as their email addresses. So we might ask the client to change their password and then give us access. Some clients might not want to do that. So then we have to tell the client, okay, as soon as you get any correspondence, send it to us. But then sometimes that could be problematic as well, because sometimes clients just act by themselves. They get something, they complete it. But once we are the lawyer on the file, we're supposed to do all the communication. So I find this, for that part, if you have a lawyer that's going to be helping you, I find the portal is a little bit difficult in that sense because it does not allowing lawyers to have kind of their part in the process. We had another example where we had somebody come through the border through an irregular point of entry and then make a claim with the officer, and we got some documents that told the client, okay, complete this online now, and then you have an appointment next year, which was like 8 months from now, like in 2023. And that was a bit confusing, and the client was confused. And then we finally got into the portal with the client, and we saw that everything he completed was kind of not the right way and incomplete. Not that he didn't want to be truthful with the information, but he was very confused. And it's complex because when somebody's making a refugee claim, a lot of people don't know this, but every single thing that you say when you're first applying in your forms, whatever you say at the border, if you're talking to officers, it's often taken down. It's noted. Everything you submit after, it's kind of like will and can be used against you, sort of thing. So, and it's complicated because sometimes people come to the border and they're tired or they're jet lagged or they're confused and they're scared, and they've never had any process with an official, an authority, a police officer, a CBSA officer before, and it could be very daunting and very scary. And then you might say things and it's not really either it's irrelevant or it's said in the wrong way, or oftentimes you're not actually saying you're not giving too much information because it's confidential or it's sensitive. And in a refugee claim, it's actually one of the most important things is to give as much information as possible about what happened to you. Why are you scared to go back to your home country? That's the biggest question when you're doing a refugee hearing for the board member to make a decision. It's why are you afraid to go back? Who's trying to harm you? Did you try to go to the police? Did you try to get help? Did you try to go to organizations? Do you have what it's called the IFA, internal flight alternative? Is there anywhere else in that country that you could safely be? This is the law, but often when clients come to us, they just say, I don't want to go back home because I'm scared of this. But we make it a point to really explain to clients, okay, we have to explain why you're scared, but we also have to explain what you tried to do to get help. We also have to explain if there's anywhere else in the country that you can hide. Because, I tell clients, can you imagine if every single person that was afraid of living in their country, or if every single person didn't like where they lived, or they faced a certain level of discrimination, if everybody would come to Canada, the system wouldn't work. So the laws are in place, the rules are in place, the case law is in place, so that Canada can help the people that really meet the requirements of the law when it comes to being recognized as a convention refugee. So it's very important, if you're going to make a refugee claim, that you're really prepared in terms of what you're going to write, in terms of your documents. Obviously, you have time later to submit all your disclosure documentation. So disclosure is all the evidence that's going to support your case. So it could be medical reports, police reports, it could be affidavits from friends, family, colleagues, neighbors. It could be articles about your country. It could be this political situation if there's a war. It could be about a specific social or cultural group that you are in and you're facing discrimination. It could be the fact that you're gay and somebody wants to kill you. It could be that the government is against, if you're found to be in a gay relationship, then you can be prosecuted. You could, in a lot of countries, it's the death sentence. So you have to have all that evidence. And if you don't have all that evidence, then it's your testimony. And that's what I tell clients. Some clients come and say, look, I'm a homosexual. I've been a homosexual all my life. I don't have any evidence whatsoever that I am, because it's against the law in my country. I don't have any chats with anybody. I don't have any pictures. I don't have any email correspondences. Nobody knows. Nobody in my life knows. And when we have situations like that, then we tell the client, okay, then tell us your story, write your story down, and we're going to prepare you for the interview. We're going to explain to you what are the types of questions that can be asked so that you can feel comfortable, and we're going to help you during the hearing for you to be able to express yourself. And I always tell clients, a refugee hearing is different than, for example, a spousal sponsorship or a visitor visa. It's not an application that we're just filing and it's going to process and an officer is going to make a decision. It's really, the lawyer is I tell the clients, I'm accompanying you throughout your refugee claim. So it's your words, it's your life. You have to tell me what happened, and you have to tell the board member what happened. And all I can do is, if I feel the board member didn't ask you certain specific questions, I can ask those. Of course, I have my closing submissions, my arguments that I'm going to say about what my opinion is based on the evidence. But it's really up to you, the client, the claimant, the refugee claimant, to share your story. Some board members, I find, will have done a very, very good job at reviewing the entire application beforehand. Other board members, maybe they just kind of glanced over it. They didn't have the time. There's a lot of backlog at the Refugee Protection Division. So, they see you for the first time. It's your only opportunity. So you have to talk and you have to share. And it's my job to make sure that the space is comfortable enough for you to be able to share that. So, all this to say, I was talking about the refugee portal protection. So it's a new system. It has pros and cons, but it doesn't take away the fact that it may seem simple, but the same rules still apply in terms of everything you have to prove when you come in through the border, or if you file after you come in, you're filing within Canada. Everything you say, everything you include is important and it matters. So if you're doing it yourself, make sure that you really take the time. It's not just about filing a form and completing it. Really make sure you take the time to do it properly. And if you're not sure, if you're stressed, if you're nervous, if you can, contact a lawyer, contact an immigration lawyer that has experience in refugee law and get the help that you need. And it's not too late. If you've already filed it, you're still waiting for your hearing, you can always call a lawyer and say, look, can you take over my file and can you take a look at what I did? And if need be, the lawyer might be able to submit an amendment to your claim to make sure that all the evidence is there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that, and I've heard this so many times, they come and see me for humanitarian compassionate applications or other applications years later, and they tell me what happened to them. They tell me their story, and I can see it's a true story. They really had a risk to go back, but they tell me I was really not prepared. I didn't submit any evidence. My representative didn't submit anything, or I didn't know I had to submit that. And it's really sad because these people are facing, they can end up facing deportation to a place where their life is actually at risk. And even though at the end, in most cases, you can still do a pre-removal risk assessment, it's complicated. It's not the same as a refugee hearing. The refugee hearing is a one-time opportunity to really show your story. So just because it's an online process now and it may seem simple, it's really important to do it properly, because everything you say from the minute that you are filing a refugee claim until the last word that you say at your refugee hearing matters. So if you are in this situation, if you're going to file a refugee claim, if you're having problems with the portal, or if you started it, you filed it, you're going to have a hearing, but you're not sure if you did it properly, contact an immigration lawyer, contact our office. We would be happy to help you navigate the system. Thank you.